This is the Tate and Todd Washington Football Team podcast, and we are done with Week 5. Your Washington Football Team is 2-3 after a terrible loss against the Saints. Todd, how you feeling?
So I went to the game. I was at the game, and I was at my season tickets for the first time. It's only the third home game. Had tickets to week 2 already. Week 1 couldn't make it. People sitting behind me, an older couple, two of them, and then a couple people sitting next to them. They had been season ticket holders in that spot for 21 years.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty incredible. They were cool people. It's row 1 of section 414. It only goes back 3 rows, and then there's a little like divider, or you go up the stairs then to go to the rest to rows 4 through whatever. So it's really just you and 3 rows, and then it can't be more than like 15 little seats in that little area, and it's nice. It was cool. There was no Saints fans up there. It was all Washington fans, so that was a cool little community. Now my uncle and my cousin were there as well. They were sitting in 424. I hadn't seen them in a while, so I said, "We'll come over there." At third quarter, we went over there. Section 424. Nothing but Saints fans.
Wow.
I mean, just full. I mean, literally nothing but Saints fans. And ended up over there, obviously, right around the time Heineken did the second pick, and then the game ended and stuff. So I just wanted to share that. I'm feeling. I don't know. I guess we gotta start talking about stuff so I can really tell you how I'm feeling, because I feel weird, because I feel like 2-3 is not good, and the way they've won is not great and all that sort of thing. But then it kind of feels like people are kind of going over the edge a bit much. A little soon, so we can talk about that. But how are you feeling?
I'm doing well. That game kind of hurt a lot, but
Yeah.
it did wonders for me, honestly, because it put my it really did, and I'm so thankful that that happened, because now my
Oh.
expectations are at an all-time low, and
Mm.
now I'm ready for quarterback season. Because truth be told, I know we'll get into this soon, but I agree with Ron. We should not have won the division last year, and
Right.
because of that, it set us back, I believe, because honestly, you win the division and it gives you false hope, which I've been accused of, um, assuming that we're going to win the division again, when in reality, Dak Prescott getting hurt, as you mentioned before, Todd, is the worst thing that could have happened to us last
Yeah.
year, because
Yeah.
it's clearly the Cowboys were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go on record and say I still believe in Ron, and I think Ron is right. We've set our expectations really, really high on a young team, and he's even been consistent saying this throughout the offseason, saying that we're a young team. We have to mature. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that division title last year covered up a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed the game, but it showed me and it proved to me that there's still a lot of work to do. So
Yeah. That's a good point. I think so. That quote you mentioned. Sometimes like our preview episode got like 1,000 views. The film breakdowns get some thousands, and that's awesome. Thank you everyone for watching and for supporting. I'm willing to bet though that a large number of those people are not on Twitter. I often don't even tweet when we do new episodes. Part of that is laziness, and part of that is me knowing that I really don't. I don't. I don't think our views are affected significantly at all whether or not we tweet that we did an episode on YouTube
right.
or Spotify, because people will have those things set. If they're fans of us, they'll have subscribed, they'll get a notification, or they'll see it, whatever. So I do need to tweet it, but if I don't, it doesn't affect our listens and stuff. But that quote you're talking about, I want to read it because people may not be on Twitter and may not see it. So he was on with the Junkies this morning, I think, and it was about the defense having a long way to go. His response was, well, we have a long way to go to be consistent. Again, everybody sees, unfortunately, the 2 bad plays. I get it. There were 2 bad plays that really truly impacted the game, but don't take away from what the guys have done. Don't take away from the improvement that has been made. This is about growing and developing. I'm assuming he's talking about the improvement on third downs. They were a little better on third downs. If every time all we want to do is remember the negative, then we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to keep getting pulled backwards. We're trying to develop. We're trying to get better. We're trying to become a football team that can win on a consistent basis. It's about teaching a bunch of young guys, teaching a second, third year defensive end how it is done, trying to make sure that the rookies that we're trying to develop get more opportunities, give them a chance to grow and develop guys. Again, if stuff like that happened overnight, then Rome would have been built overnight, but we're going through this and we're developing and growing guys. Again, understand that that we see that what is happening. We're trying to get past these things. We're trying to focus in on what is truly the development of this football team for the long run, not an overnight fix. And this is the part that stuck out. You almost want to say, man, I wish 7-9 last year wouldn't have been good enough to win the division. That way the expectations would have been much lower and would have been a little bit easier. This is hard. This is the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be hard because it is the only way you learn. And I think my thoughts on this are that it's like it's he's being very transparent, honestly, and I am in a weird spot because I can see how that level of transparency could rub people the wrong way because you don't want to hear your head coach say that, but then people always kill head coaches for not being transparent, and so I don't really know. I'm not going to tell anyone how they should feel, but it feels like it's a no-win situation. Either he says not enough, and it's like he's not being transparent, or he's fully transparent. It's like you shouldn't have said that, and maybe he shouldn't have said it because there's backlash. But at the end of the day, I agree, like you said, Tay, that I just don't think that winning the division last year was the best thing because it's not just that they won the division. Like that was the main point. They won 7 games, but 4 of them came against division opponents. Week 17, the Eagles completely gave the game away. The other game against the Eagles week 1 was really one of the good ones. Cowboys twice without Dak Prescott, Bengals without Joe Burrow, Steelers, and then the 49ers without their starting quarterback. And so last year was supposed to show a rebuild, but it didn't. And that's why this offseason, Tay, we talked about it. And let me say, check out our sponsors. Hot Chikn Kitchn in Woodbridge, Virginia. Get you the best Nashville-style chicken sandwich you can get in this area. Good, fantastic. And then get your credit fixed with Dun Pro Financial and with their self-credit repair program. It's $25 a month. Check those out. The links are below. All offseason, Tay, you can give me this. I didn't buy into the hype. Not as much as everyone else. My expectations were lower. When Dan Orlovsky or whoever was saying, I think Washington could be the main team to fight with the Bucs in the NFC, I was like, come on now. That's ridiculous. Like, come on now. We still haven't seen this defense play very well or dominantly against the starting quarterback. We still don't have a starting quarterback ourselves. We've added weapons, but we haven't seen them work together. And now we've got 3 key free agents they signed. One is hurt, not playing. The other is hurt, not playing. And the other is playing, but not playing great. So you still don't have a quarterback. Your defense, which did not play well against good quarterbacks last year, is again not playing well against good quarterbacks. And so this team is not a 7-win team last year. They happened to win 7 games because of who they played. And then this year, I don't know what they are, but they're a rebuilding team. But because they won the division, it's like, no, they're not rebuilding. They should go to the playoffs back to back. And so it's just a tough spot. And I'm seeing a lot of there are people who are definitely just being critical of Rivera, which is fine. But then there are people who are like turning on him, and that's just interesting to me because it's been how many games? How many regular season games? 16 plus 5, so 21 regular season games, 9-12. And I realized they haven't had any great wins. But he took over a team that was 3-3. What'd you say?
Division title and 4-0 in primetime games. So
yeah. I mean, there's been things to take away. This is all while not having a quarterback, while having a defense that really was lacking talent, except for on the line, while having an offense that was severely lacking talent, and now you're trying to add those things, and then Curtis Samuel
and changing a culture
and changing the culture as a whole, which is like feels impossible. Your main offensive weapon that was added, he hasn't been able to play. You're playing with the backup quarterback who's honestly doing the best he can. I can only be so critical of Taylor Heinicke. He shouldn't be starting probably. And then a defense that should be better, absolutely should be better, but that's honestly just still needs more talent. We overestimated the talent on this defense. We all did that. So, and then on top of that, the team is 2-3. They're not 0-5. Right? I know that they've had 2 close wins, but now
and look who they lost to.
I mean, they lost to the Bills and the Chargers, who are going to be good teams.
You see what I'm saying?
Who have top 5 quarterbacks this year so far.
MVP candidates, both.
And like we're not making excuses. We're just calling like it is. Now they beat the Giants and the Falcons close, and that's not great. That's not a great way to have won 2 games. Wins are wins, but still, but they didn't lose to the Falcons and the Giants. They lost to the Chargers and the Bills, who are good teams. The Saints was a very winnable game that they gave away because their team is they are not talented enough to make the mistakes that they made and then overcome
Yep.
without the quarterback that they have.
Yep.
And they still had a chance. If the defense
Yep.
had got one stop at 27-22, I do think Taylor Heineke gets you a touchdown there at the end, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, so I don't know. There's a lot going on. I think I don't know. There's a lot going on. The main points in that Saints game were you had two chances. And so last time or I don't know how much we talked about it, but we talked about it some. And I asked y'all the question: how good is this Saints defense really? And Tay, the answer is they're not. They were not scary. Washington
Nope.
absolutely could have scored 30 points on them.
Hmm.
They had first and goal from the. I'm not first and goal. They had goal to go from the 5, and the 6, kicked field goals. Heineke threw an interception on a terribly underthrown ball from the 16. They had a 4th and 10 that was very close to being converted, and then you had the other interception, which put them in their field position, or on our side of the field. Then you had the 72-yard blown coverage by Landon Collins. You had the Hail Mary, which was absurd. I mean, but it was a winnable game. But this team is they're not disciplined right now. The defense is not disciplined. It's not talented, and the offense is still lacking talent. I mean, we were back to just Terry McLaurin pretty much on Sunday.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't really know. I don't really know. I guess I can't really tell people where they should stand right now. If you're out on Ron Rivera, okay. I say that I think it's early to be out on any coach. Now, if they had been terrible last year and terrible again this year, I'd say okay. But I just think it's too early to be ready to come for people's heads just yet. I don't know. That's where I'm at. I need to see the season continue to unfold because regardless, there are still 13 games left or 12
Hmm.
games left. That's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I agree with you. And I think the fair thing to do is to let him get his quarterback
Right.
and see what happens.
And see, when you talk about these quick turn, people say it doesn't take 3 years to rebuild. And I agree. We see it happen. But when it happens, these teams they're getting quarterbacks that can play well, or their quarterback, and then they're doing well to build the team. It will not happen if you don't have. I mean, I know Sean McVay did it with Jared Goff. Jared Goff is not a horrible quarterback. Now,
Right.
he made Jared Goff really good,
Yeah.
but I mean, they still had a quarterback who was starting for them and who was playing well for them and adding talent around him. Heineke, you probably want Taylor Heineke to be your backup for the next 10 years, but without that quarterback, you're not going to rebuild anything. There's no point. It's like, it's trying to build like, I mean, the Bible says on
Yeah.
sand, it's like
Yeah.
building your
Yeah.
house on sand. It's going to,
Yeah.
it's going to fall apart without a quarterback. It doesn't matter. And
No,
I know we
I
talked about
agree.
that last year. So, and
I agree. And I'm full on quarterback mode. I think I was naive to it this year, but now I'm like, okay, it's important. You see all these guys who are winning games, and it's like
yeah,
you need a franchise quarterback.
you do
Like
because
it covers the multitude of sins. Like franchise quarter.
you're
Since you
preaching
want to use
now.
Bible, yeah.
Yeah. I use Bible. You use Bible. Yeah, it
So
does.
it just it gives you can have a lot more mistakes with a
Right.
franchise
Right.
quarterback
Right.
than with not. So I think this honestly, y'all can get on me in the comments, but um, I would not be mad if we went 2-15. Um,
Yeah,
just
they're probably
because
gonna
the
go to.
importance, and I don't care because you're not winning nothing with Heineke. I'm sorry.
I
No
mean,
matter
yeah,
how elite your defense is, Heineke's not the guy. He's underthrowing Terry. Terry could have burnt
yeah,
Lattimore
it
like
did.
4 times.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And it's making Lattimore look like he's a shutdown corner, and I'm not taking nothing from him.
Terry
Some of
was
those
winning.
passes,
Terry was
oh
winning.
my goodness, a lot of those.
Yeah.
So um, it is what it is. But I just think we're not as good as we think we are, and I would be surprised if we win 2 more games, maybe
Mm.
two, maybe Broncos, and maybe you get the Giants again. But I just don't see it.
And that's interesting. I tweeted it out, and this is the last thing we can touch on. And I tweeted out the rest of the schedule and asked how much. Let me pull it up. I always forget like the schedule actually in order. But how many more games? How many more wins do you see in which game? So obviously they got the Chiefs this week, at Packers, at Broncos, bye versus Bucks, at Panthers versus Seahawks, at Raiders, and Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. And I mean, look, I don't know. I like it's I don't know. I really don't know. I could see them winning. Best case scenario in the division, 3 games, and then Broncos,
Hmm.
Panthers, Raiders, Seahawks without Russ are all toss ups to me. The defense is terrible. I realize that. So like
But I mean,
as
even
much
those, like I thought the Saints game was a toss, like, but now
but
it's
see
like
the thing, the
no,
Saints game it was a toss up. They could have
yeah, but
won. They
yeah,
just I mean
they can't.
the defense it was the defense more than anything. I know Heineke had his 2 picks, but he didn't give up the Hail Mary or the 72-yard touchdown.
It's true. It's true.
Um and so you know like I think that they will get like 3 more wins at least. I think they'll at least be 5-12. But I will say that I think that and I don't see them
I'm not
getting to
expecting
like
them to win another game this year. That's just my expectations. That's where they're after
okay.
that Saints game, bro. I don't
Yeah.
expect them to win another game this year. I just
I
can't
think
see that with the way the defense is playing. It's no way. It's no way.
yeah, no, and I agree
No
with
way.
the way that and that's the thing. They have to make changes on defense. You have to bench some players. You got to bench Landon Collins.
Got to, man.
You got to bench some guys. You got to play Jamin Davis. You just got to do something different, right? But I mean like I could definitely see them getting to 5 wins or so, but I don't think that going 2-15 would be great because it would be kind of tough in my opinion then to really justify Ron
Yeah, I know.
Rivera.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I feel
I don't
like
think they go 2-15, but I
yeah,
just
yeah.
just so fans out there, I don't really think that's going to happen. But I'm just at a
Yeah.
low with this team. Like
No, I
I've
get
just
it.
had it. So
That's
I
fair. You're
just know
allowed
the
to be
importance of
low.
a quarterback. I see all these quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, like a Herbert, and there goes the argument with
Lamar,
Chase and Herbert.
Carr, Herbert,
You know,
Allen, Mahomes, Watson not playing, but Watson, Murray. Yeah. I think they end somewhere between 5 and 7, like 5 or 6 probably. Top 10 pick probably. And that's probably the best spot for them to be in.
yeah, I
If
agree.
you're not going to go to the playoffs and contend and you don't have a franchise quarterback, you will never consistently make it to the playoffs and contend. And
Whatever.
you need to get a quarterback. And we thought before today that they could win, go to the playoffs, trade a bunch of picks, go up. They can't afford to do that now. This
Nope,
defense needs
they
more help.
can't.
They need their picks. They need to be able to add more talent to this defense, and they need to add a quarterback.
Yep,
So if
yep.
they're not like if they're gonna win, then by all means win. If they're gonna get to 10-7, then okay, all right, sure. I'm not. I don't think that's gonna happen. But if it's
Hmm.
gonna happen, I'm not gonna tell you not to do it.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna happen. So I think what then ultimately would be best would be to get some wins, 5 or 6, and then be in a position to either sit and draft somebody, trade up a little bit and draft somebody at quarterback, add more talent to this defense, and then go on to year 3. But
Man, I wish
but
we
like
were sitting.
what?
I wish we were sitting like Philly right now, man. Good
Three
night.
first round, 3 first round picks in the top 10 right now
Goodness
with
gracious,
the
man.
Colts, the Dolphins, and themselves, right?
Can you
And it
imagine,
might end that
bro?
way because the Colts are 1-4, the Dolphins are I don't know 1 or 2 or
One and
something.
four.
They're 1-4.
I
The
think so
Dolphins
too.
ended.
Yeah.
Ooh, God, dang it. Man. Okay. Well,
What if they
hopefully
got
they.
what if they got two, three, four? Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Look. All right. It's October. We got a long way to go. We can't torture ourselves like that just yet. We can't. I got to start rooting for the Colts to win, or unfortunately
Yeah.
for Carson Wentz to get hurt. That's what
Yeah.
we got to do, honestly, which is not like unreasonable to ask. It's very possible. Let's just do our best to not ride the highs and the lows as high and low
Yeah.
as they go, and
I
just
I
kind of
agree.
stay in more medium while realizing like it's extremely frustrating. They got to fix it. I agree, but they got to make changes, but they got to get a quarterback at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been saying that since last
We
year.
sound
It's
like
nothing,
broken records.
dude. Like, I mean, come on now. We say it like every episode. I don't know Street Scores, who we never collaborated with, and I want to, but he talks about how his friends of other franchises who have quarterbacks laugh at him when we go 7-9 and win the division because That's not what's best for the long-term culture. I
Exactly.
mean, everyone wants to talk about the Cardinals and they're 5-0. They wouldn't be 5-0 if they didn't end up with the first pick and take Kyler Murray. The Chargers, fifth pick and take Justin Herbert. The Browns, first pick, take Baker Mayfield. And then you got the Bills and the Chiefs who traded up. You have either got to lose and get it or trade up and get it. The Ravens are one of the outliers with Lamar. They got him at 31. But not, I mean, the Steelers with Ben even, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. They picked Ben with the 11th pick, I think. And that's what they got to do again, too. They need to have a back. You got to either have a down year or you got to move up. But you can only move up if your team is there, like the Bills and like the Chiefs. If your team is not there, don't move up. Our team is not there. We know that now. Defense will probably improve, but that means going from 30 points a game to 27 points a game and 60% on third downs to 54% on third down. So they're going to improve, but they need more talent, Tate. That's what they need on defense. They need more talent. At the end of the day, they got to fix scheme stuff, all that, but they need more talent. In the secondary and that linebacker.
Yeah.
All right. At safety, really, and at linebacker, cornerbacks got to figure out what they're doing. So, all right, well, we'll talk about the Chiefs game some on on Thursday. That'll be fun. We can just chop it up, no expectations.
Yeah,
just watch some great quarter. I mean, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's the 31st and 32nd ranked passing defenses. Chiefs are 32nd, we're 31st. And we're scoring 24 points a game today. Hey, that's something to brag about, right?
Yeah.
Heineke will probably put up some points. They'll probably score an offense Washington will punt 3 times. The Chiefs won't punt at all. So it'll be like
exactly.
56-34,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It'll probably be a fun offensive explosion of a game. We'll think we're in it in the first half because it'll be like 28-17, and then the Chiefs will score another 28, and we'll score another 17. All right, we'll talk about that later. That's all I got to tell you. Got anything else?
No, a couple positives. Sam Cosmi, he's a dog.
He is. I hope his ankle got rolled up on, but he is a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, take the positives where they are, and the third down defense was better this week.
Yeah, it was better.
Matter. Still scored 33 points. Yeah. But if they would have been able to not give up the Hail Mary and long touchdown, suddenly it's 20 points or 19 points. So I don't know, man. All right, well. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening, and we will talk to you on Thursday. This is Todd.
This is Tay.